Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well today, wherever you are. More towards the end of this video, I will talk about, I guess, where we are today, and I'll give you the reason why I'm going to talk about that, and I'll get to that. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about today is more worldly. But what I'm wanting to talk about doesn't, I'm not getting into the world. It isn't that way, you'll see. It has to do with all the things that are happening in this world and that we see around us. And I got this idea last night from another born-again Christian channel. And I forget if it was Jude or if it was James who said, we really have no business speaking about the things that we have no knowledge about, like angels, right? And the worship of angels and stuff like that. And that comes to mind when I do think of these things. But the reality is, we do know some of these things, and we can make our own hypothesis. We can make our own guesses about these things, because the things that are in this world right now that we see and touch and feel, like what I'm speaking to you here on, this camera up here, this laptop that I'm looking at my face, this iPad right here, this telephone, this microwave. How do I get into this? Everything that you and I have, okay? Like, I think this is a good example. My graduation for high school was before the year 2000. Although I graduated in 1999 or 2000, but it was supposed to be 1997. And so I remember, a time without the internet. I remember a time without cell phones. I remember the old dial phones. Not the dial phones, but the ones, the old ones that you see in the movies. Well, not the old movies, but, like ones that go all the way back to the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. So, just think about it. I do believe this is true. And it does have to do with the things we are seeing today and what Christians are talking about. So I'll go a little further into this conversation to bring you to what I'm going to speak about. So there are plenty of videos of people, orbs in the sky, the Navy talking about UFOs and things under the ocean that, these are top admirals, rear admirals talking about things going under the water at very high speeds. Things that, let's just say in this picture that you can see right here, say this is the ground, right? Say this is the ground right here, and this is the ceiling of the sky. Let's say it's 80,000 feet. It goes way up in the stratosphere or whatever. So it goes from, sorry, I'm trying to position this. It goes from what they're seeing, it goes from here to here in less than 1 second. What on earth could do that? Is it just a hallucination? Or sorry, not a hallucination, but a hologram? They're putting up mass amounts of satellites that can make anything look real, but it wouldn't, looking on a radar, it would not show up as a signature of anything, I don't believe. If it were, painted by a satellite. We know they have the 3D possibilities. I've seen it myself. We can get the technology for $600. I can put a hologram that can't even fit in this picture. It's so big. I can speak to people by hologram. Just think about that. So way back when there was no internet and lots of you guys were not born yet, or were you really young? So when those spring-loaded phones, when I was using one of those, let's say when I was 20, because they were still around, and they were normal in my youth, that the reality is that the people who run this earth, remember what I said, I have no business talking about those things I don't know about, but this is a good hypothesis of things that we have in our hands. So it's not like I have no information. So while I'm using that phone, the reality is they already have the internet. Do you believe that? Because I do. And there's a whole lot of people who believe this as well. I do believe things are controlled the way that they're brought out. I believe that they are monopolizing us. They are absolutely monopolizing us. And, you know, this gets into conspiracy but we already know there's people like the Rockefeller, Rothschild, whatever name you want to give, okay? The modern state of Israel is because of the Rothschilds. Think of just these, I don't know how many rich families of the earth there are, but I heard there's around 300. It makes me wonder, are these people run by the prince of the power of the air, and that there is no stopping them? And then you might say this, you might say, well, what about World War II? What about major wars and when countries are overthrown and stuff like that, right? And that's a good argument, but even then, they're controlling that. Absolutely, they're controlling that. They control even that. And the only way you could ever get at them is by being a strong person and developing your own army. I'm not even joking you. Think of the Maccabees. It can happen. But this earth is run by the prince of the power of the air, and the power that these people have. You know, when we hear about things like the World Economic Forum, I think it's just a front. They're really telling us, they're starting to tell us what they're going to do, because we're in a time where people are not going to really stand up unless their food is taken away from them. And still, what can you do to people who have the power? Pardon me, I'm going to get out of this picture for a second. Don't be wowed. Don't be wowed, and I'm not saying don't be excited about things that they bring out and you see, and you know, because some of these things, like, yeah, what is it? Not the Google, but the Apple glasses. I almost thought, man, hey man, like, I would like to see what that's like, to put that over my head, but I promised myself not to get into video games, not to get into things that are just going to waste my time in life, you know. I just want to have a relationship with the Lord and move forward and help people in the jobs that I'm going for. But yeah, just give me a second. Give me a sec. my throat. So really, how far are they along? We could never know. I do believe they own everything. You know, when you see that, what is it? Sorry, I'm thinking of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The same type of triangle. The same type of triangle. You've likely seen it. But at the top, you know, I forget what it is. There's the businesses, there's the advertisers, there's the, you know, people like the oil giants, but there's someone even above them. And these people, although they are sometimes spotted in society, are hidden, and they do terrible things. And so just think about this. Sorry guys, my throat, man. There. Wish I could describe what's happening in my throat, but I don't want to on here. It's okay now though. They control what is let out. So when you hear stories of this, like this company developed this groundbreaking technology, like you see right now with, go look, it's Toyota, I believe. The water engine. They're really developing that, and I believe it's a success. I'd have to look a bit further into it, but it looks like that could be the next thing. But what kind of money could someone make off of that? And you hear stories of people vanishing who, I'm sure you've heard of this. Someone came up with this and all of a sudden they vanished. I do believe they're either bought up and brought, who knows, they may say, we'll give you this amount of money to come overseas, and boom, they're like kind of gone. Or, yeah, I do believe these things happen. Secret weapon programs, all types of things. When they know someone's really, really smart in some type of area, they might make you an offer. But I do believe that they don't let it get above a certain level. Other countries, okay, so let's say this is America and Europe. Other countries, do they have any control over that? We don't know. I have no idea. But I have a feeling that it may be possible. I don't know. We can never know these things. And so they keep it at an even level, so they're always making money. And then when someone like Adolf Hitler comes up and a world war, yeah, I do believe that was not controlled. No one controlled him. I don't believe that. I just don't. I still believe that it was somehow possibly planned out that it would end up that way so they could make money. No? Let's look at this. I don't want to say it, so not that I'm afraid to say it, because a lot of people are now, but just in the hope that maybe more people would see this. But I already believe they do shadow ban me for the things I said. It's for many things I've said, but what was I going to say? Yeah, we see it in plain sight. Evil, good, good, evil, right now. So everything you see can be controlled. And we're in a time where it's just like when God said to Jeremiah, you know, the figs, the basket figs, I forget exactly what it was, but God asked him, you know, to look at the good and the bad figs, and he says, very good and very bad. And God was comparing it to the people who were in the land, and they were very bad, and they had to be destroyed because they got to a certain level that it was impossible to turn them back. And when a whole society, right? I forget what I was saying. They develop a problem and they make money from it. Oh, a world war or a war here and there comes up, we're going to make money from it. Because look, we'll just make a whole bunch of tank shells. We'll make a whole bunch of, rockets and airplanes, and this is our world today. They make money off of problems, and that's how the world is running. I think it's more evil than people actually think it is. And no, I don't actually know. I don't know this. I'm just scraping the very, very top of this. So when you see things like, so I spent a lot of time reading about aircraft, about world wars, about new weapon systems. I spent many hours both reading and watching about new weapon systems, and this was up to 30 years ago, and I did that for about 15 years anyways. I do believe that take a look at the Avro Arrow that Canada, where I live, Canada developed. They developed a fighter. That was so advanced in the 1950s that was easily twice as advanced as anything that came before it. And then the Americans tried to buy them out, and the program went down. I'm not going to say the whole bit of it. It would have easily gone Mach 2 or 3, and they were using more and more powerful engines, but it took it down. All of a sudden you see the Russians with the same thing, and then you see the Americans developing the same type of wings designs and aerodynamics. That was 70 years ago. The SR-71 probably got that based off of the Avro Arrow. Part of it anyways. That SR-71 was going at super cruise. We're talking about like 3,000 miles an hour at a sustained speed. I can't even begin to tell you the things that they have. So when you hear about these things, and you hear of impossible speeds and different types of stuff, they are so much more advanced than you can ever imagine. And because they are that far ahead, do you really think they're dumb enough to not want to get ahead of you? To get ahead of everything and suppress everything? Because they know if they do that, and if they keep 20 or 30 or even more years ahead of us, they can keep releasing this and this and this. And if it really is different from country to country, and America really is that higher, then if someone like China comes out with something, say they release an iPhone, and then China releases an iPhone as well, and they start to get a bit better, then they just release from their inventory something a little higher, and that's the way it goes. I don't know if these rich families of the earth have made deals with every country, and we just don't know it. And that is a deception that we can never know. I don't know. Do they agree on world wars? Because there was strange stuff going on during the world wars with these families. There has to be someone at the top. I think there's more than one. And I do believe the prince of the power of the air somehow is involved. Of course he is. We know this. Even Jesus said that he was the king of this earth. Not that he had power because of Adam, but in any case, that's a long story. I think I'll just stop there. And I think it's gotten to a point where you and I are past the point of the things that we know about Atlantis. Is it possible that Atlantis was a real place? Maybe. They're finding a lot of stuff underwater. They're finding underwater cities. I saw that over 20 years ago. The one by Cuba, where there's pillars and streets and huge pavestones that go like a highway. God flooded the earth. Who knows, man? Who knows? The story of Atlantis may be true. Look at the stuff we have. Look at how advanced it is. And now we have stuff flying. All we hear about is UFOs. They're coming out in Congress. And why not other governments? Why aren't other governments coming out? Maybe because the U.S. is telling them not to. I don't know. And people are spotting things all over the place. I don't speak about things like angels and seeing giants and those things. I'm agnostic in those areas, you know. If you show me and I see it, then I'll believe it. I won't be afraid. But you know, until I see things like that, intruding into things they don't know, and you might say, well, you're a hypocrite. You're doing the same thing. I think this is a little different, but I think I'll just end here. Just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to kind of answer a question here. I'm just going to take a bite of my food and then I'll answer this question to Elijah. Hey Elijah, why are you here? You know, and he goes in the cave and then he looks and he sees, you know, but he's not in the wind, and he's not in the earthquake, and he's not in the fire, right? No, I'm speaking to someone who I speak to by email, a brother. I just wanted to answer a question that that you kind of, you know, expressed about, you know, how do I know it doesn't go on for another 10, 50, another 100 years, right? Where we are right now. How do I know it's not going to go any further? Well, I tell people to live their life as if we are just going to keep going. And, you know, not to not have your hope in September 23rd, 24th, as it is the Feast of Trumpets, and we should be looking to those types of things. But I would rather live my life as if that day was not. But still with the hope in my heart, because I don't want to be upset, you know. I have no idea who that is. I'm just gonna let it go. Yeah, I'm gonna take a bite here, and then I'm gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna get into Donald Trump. But it's certainly part of this, though. Actually, you know what? I will start with him. I'm not going to get into the signs because you've seen every one of my videos probably about this topic. We have been waiting for the biblical Antichrist for 2,000 years. 2,000 years we've been looking for him. And is it this Pope? Is it that president? Is it this? Is it Macron? Is it Recep Erdogan? Is it Obama? Jeez, man. Just gonna let that go. It's annoying. Is it Recep Erdogan? Who is it? And when you look at those people, right? And you know, is it the Pope? Is it the Vatican? Is it going to have to do with that? I'm not saying the Vatican won't have any part in it, but I could see it absolutely having some part. You know, the apostate church of 1 billion souls or more, 1.3 billion souls, lost souls. Some of them met some criteria. Certainly, some of them met some criteria, but not very much. You know, their persona could have made it, like Obama, like Macron, could have. But the only person who has ever met the definition in its purity is Donald Trump. Objective signs, there's got to be at least 30 solid signs of that man. How vile he would be. How people are veiled to who he is right in front of them. How he can turn the whole world on a head just by words. He lies so much. You look at his past history. He's likely been with many young, okay? I heard his words on Howard Stern and the stories of Epstein, best friend. We know what Epstein was doing. We know he was with him. I'm not going to go further on that because I don't want to get into things I don't know myself. But it's truly suspect. There are so many objective signs. Why does this guy live in a building that's 660 feet high? And he lives on the 66th floor? And on the 6th to 12th floor, there's a friggin' satanic symbol built into the building. And now he's the president at a time where the world is turning upside down, 2020. But it really started turning upside down when he turned on the scene. What was it, 2016? It was like, this side against that side. That's what it turned into. And the world is watching. No, America is not the world, but the world watches America. It's just the way it is. I'm not going to get into all those signs, but he's here. So is the false prophet who makes fire come down from heaven. Elijah, read Revelation. Read it over 5 times. He does miracles like Elon Musk does. Who else makes fire come down from heaven? Who else lands a rocket that can land itself back? These miracles that he does. Remember I said 20 years ahead of time, right? 50 years ahead of time. So I saw a reputable DARPA man on a video yesterday. DARPA, a top guy. Go look on Sling and Stone's video from 3 days ago. It's funny, I tend to watch the same stuff as I forget what that brother's name is, but he says Neuralink was here 20 years ago. Think about that. Just a coincidence that Neuralink in the Greek gematria calculator is 666. And when you look at it, and we think about the mark of the beast, that would be, if I was Satan, that's what I would choose. Because I know what that can do. There's nothing like that on Earth. Neuralink? No, man. Just think about it. It's going to put a big computer in your head. People are going to be walking who are paralyzed. Because all you need is a prosthesis on each. You could have you could be missing all your limbs, and they give you prosthesis on each limb. And then they connect it to your brain. You can start walking and moving your hands. This is the stuff. He's also the false prophet. Twitter, like a bird, false prophet, man. He owns it. He bought it. Perfect timing. That they came together. The two of them meet it perfectly. It fits like a glove, so don't ignore it, people. MAGA, right? Not only that, but what about these interstellar things? Is it a deception or is it real? If it's real, there is never really, this is one of the most exciting things that has ever happened, other than, I'm not talking about Jesus, and I'm talking about in science, this is the most exciting thing that people aren't even looking at. There's something coming towards the Earth. It's going to go behind the sun, but it's coming close enough that it's in alignment with the planets coming from out of our solar system, interstellar. 3 meaning the third one, The third one in just the last 10 years. Why are these things coming all of a sudden? And Apophis, that's not interstellar, but 3 means the third. I is interstellar. And then Atlas is because in Chile, the Atlas telescope found it. 3i Atlas. They're saying it's 46 kilometers is its core. 46 kilometers. It's shining so bright. It's got nickel. They've deduced that it's made of nickel, and nickel cannot come without, what is it, iron? And no asteroid has ever come without the two together. That's like a scientific property that has to be. But it's only nickel that they're finding. There's no trail on the end of it. Anyways, I don't know a lot more about it. We've never, what did Luke 21 say? The things that are coming upon the earth, things that we're going to see signs in the sun, moon, and stars. We've never seen anything like this 3i Atlas ever. And it's 90% bigger than any of the other asteroids. I'm going to pace here, guys. Quite exciting, though, isn't it? Right? You just look at the way people are trashing stores. There's wars all over the earth. Elijah, we are in that time, man. And that's what I wanted to say. There is nothing happening right now that isn't what Jesus told us would happen. Just think about this. Not even a month ago, I went on a walk with my brother and my dad on 2 nights in a row. And it was a blood moon each night. Yeah, there was wildfire smoke. But then I went out for a walk by myself 3 times in the same place. And 2 of those nights it was clear nights. There were 5 pure blood red moons in a row. I have never heard of that. I looked it up. I can't even find anything. I can't find anyone except one person talking about that. Why wasn't it reported? Why didn't anyone talk about the 5 blood? This is the type of stuff God told us would happen. None of this stuff has ever been here. And COVID, the way that they raised their heads up, the governments, and now they're trying to control us, it began then. And I know it's around the end because of the timeline of Jesus. It's not going to go to 3,000 years, it's 2,000 years. That's a consensus in the Christian world, and I believe it. Because God made the earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. The millennial kingdom. I hope you're reading your Bible. If you're reading your Bible, because that's the Word of God. That's where our hope is. I could, you know, there's a lot of people that say a lot of different things that go upon their feelings and their emotions. I don't like that because, you know, well, you know, I want people to come and express themselves and stuff like that. But when they say it's confirmed or the Lord said, I hate that. I just do. If the Lord really said, then say. But they're going off their emotions and feelings. I do believe people are getting visions and dreams. I had a vision myself. I talked about that. But I don't, you know, I don't try to make money from that. I don't try to raise myself, and it was quite an awesome one too. I'd be hard pressed to ever believe that it would go past 7 more years. Friday the 13th, April 2029, Apophis is going to come, as they say, their calculations say 20,000 miles from the earth. A rock that's as tall as the Twin Towers, plus 20 stories. You know how tall that tower is? And its width is almost that. Its width is another, so it's a 140-story building by 120. It's huge, 1,400 feet by 1,200 feet. If that thing hits the earth will stand still on that day. It's coming that close. And I don't believe they would ever tell us about it, and that's why I think it's going to hit the earth. It matches Revelation. It matches the times that we're in. And no, the times have never ever looked like this. And people who believe that, I feel sorry for. I really do. Because they're veiled, because they can't see the things that are happening. The way that people are today, man. People are heartless and only care about themselves. They only care about their own gain. And it's because of the media. It's because of connectivity, the internet. And I believe God has had enough. That's what I believe. And I see it through the signs. I know my Bible. I know the signs to look out for. God is good, and he will rescue us. God bless.